So hello there. So here's a video which I'm going to do about how to use buckets with GCP, Google Cloud. So buckets is a way where you can store information on a storage within the Google Cloud environment, and you can access the bucket via a VM, which I will create with you now, and show you how you can send files to the bucket and copy it back from the bucket. So it's really useful if you've got a new VM and you need to copy files from somewhere on an online storage. So we're going to go through that now. We're going to come across and experience some problems, especially when we try to um, copy from the bucket. So let's have a look at that, and we'll look at some of the problems which we face. But I'll try to make it brief. I'll try to make it swift and try to show you all the main elements on using buckets with a VM in Google Cloud. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new bucket, which is basically an online folder where I keep my files and other folders inside. So let's create one now. We can use, let's have a look. So I used my test bucket before, so I'll just use my test bucket 24. And next. So depending on price, multi-region, the bucket will be spread across different regions. But so if you just want to keep it cheap and easygoing, just pick a single region. And I'm going to go for the US East 1 South Carolina, as comes up default. Then you got different storage class types. So if you're just going to access the files frequently, and for this test, we're just going to have a look at it on a short-term basis. We'll pick standard. Anything for different types of access to data, you can use the nearline, the cold line, and the archive, and you've got all the definitions there of the different periods of time you can access that type of data. So for now, we're going to pick standard. We'll use uniform, and we will just have no protection on it for the moment. We can confirm that we don't want any bucket to be accessed private. Well, actually, what I'll do, I'll just take that off just for good measure. So that's creating our bucket now. And there you are. It's got the bucket available. So what I've done here, what I can do here, I'm going to create two files. So I'm going to call it Japan. And I'll create another file and we'll call it Peru. Okay, so that's done on my local Windows machine. That's a local machine, or I've just gone in the local directory and created two simple files. So now if I want to upload it to the Google Cloud environment in my bucket folder, I just go into buckets here and upload the files here. And shortly we should see them there. There you are. So we've got the two files in our bucket. Now what we want to do is create a VM and see if we can access these files, and more specifically the bucket itself. So I go into VM instances. I'm going to create an instance here. Name of my VM. I'm going to keep everything more or less as default. There's no need to really change anything here. It's going to be a Debian Linux. So at this moment in time, if I just left everything at default, what I will do, I will make sure the IP address is correct here. So it's in the default network. It's going to have a local IP address from there, and it's going to have an ephemeral external IP address. So there's the local and the external. So let's create that. So it's coming on now. My VM is ready. It's got the two IP addresses. So let's SSH into that box. So it should be ready now. Let's just go into it. There you go there. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to see if I can see the bucket. Yeah, there you go. And I can see my test bucket 24 is what I can see at the moment. So that's really good. So what we can do now, actually, we can just see. So we can see that we can see the two files inside. So now what we can try to do is try to copy those files locally. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to clear, get a bit more space. I'm going to make a new directory, my local folder. I'm going to go into that folder. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy the two text files from the bucket to my local folder. So I think it was called my test bucket. That's good. And then I'm going to do a star dot txt dot star. So anything with a txt file, copy it down to this local folder called my local folder. And there you go. So let's just have a look. They both arrived and they're there. So that's great. So now we've managed to copy data from the bucket down to our VM. So that's really good. So now let's go the other way. Let's copy a file into the bucket. So I'm going to create a new file. And I can call this one Italy. Okay, I can just put some data in here. Milan, what can do, and Rome. Okay. Okay, so we've got a bit of data in that file. Now the trick is now to copy this file up to the bucket. So I'm going to do GSH2 copy, and then we're going to put the name of the file, which is Italy, to a tab. It should auto find that name, and then we're going to point it to our folder, which is my test bucket 24. Right. So now we're going the other way. We're copying from the VM over to the bucket. Now, at this point, when we start off with Google Cloud, this is where the problem starts. And this is a common error which tends to happen a lot on new users using Google Cloud. So let's have a look at it. So we get an 403 access denied. So there are two things we need to do with this. What we need to do, we have to make sure the scopes are opened for it. And then we got to recognize what is the service account used for this VM and bind the service account to a role which gives us the opportunity to actually copy data from the VM onto the bucket. So let's have a look at the two things we're going to do. So the first thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to stop the VM and make these changes. Okay, so the VM has been stopped, so we're happy with that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do step one of the change, which we need to initiate. So I'm going to edit into the VM itself, And the bit which is really interesting for us, it's these bits, may have just passed it here, the API and identity management. So the first thing I would do, I'm going to make a note of the service account being used, 734. So first of all, I'm going to just go here. Let me just create a new one here. And I'm going to put that there, make a note of it, because I will need that in a minute. Right, so while I'm here, I'm going to pick the Cloud API access scopes, and I'm going to go down to storage. So let's go here. I'm not sure it's not in edit mode. Let me put it back into edit mode. Let's go down back to the APIs. Okay, so it's set to access scope to allow default access. What we want to do is go in here and change the storage to full. So now we've got the API access to have that changed and full. Let's save that. Okay, that was step one. Step two, you would open up the Cloud shell here. Let's just clear that there. Right, so what we now need to do, let me just clear that. What we need to do now, we need to add an add IAM binding with the service account which we took. Now, if it's a little bit unclear, there's the documentation for Google is really good. So you've got where have I got it? I think I had it somewhere. It's here somewhere. Yeah. So if you look up G Cloud projects, add ADM bindings, you can use the examples here to make the bindings. Very good documentation from Google. So let's do that. So I've got my command there, my service account command there. So I'm going to copy that now. And I'm going to do the bindings now. So we need to upgrade the bindings for the account, which will be the editor we're going to use. So it's got full access to storage. So what we do here is gcloud projects, add IAM. We can tab it just to quicken it up. Then we're going to put the name of the project, which is Network Play in lowercase. Then we're going to say the member, and the member is a service account. And then what I'm going to do, I think I've already copied it actually, so I can copy it like that. So we've got the service account there, and then we now to associate a role with that service account. So we're going to do role, and then roles editor, like so. And let's press enter. Okay, so now we've seen that added in. We've got our confirmation. So we've got that. That's all the accounts associated under this project. So it's all good there. So now let's start up the VM and let's see if we can run that command. So where's our VM? Let's go up here. I think I'm going to bring that down like that. Come back into the VM. Okay, so the VM is back on, so I'm going to SSH into it. Open it up like that. And now we're back into the SSH terminal. So let's have a look at which folder. So my local folder. Okay, so Italy arrived outside the local folder, but what we want to do is we want to copy this file into there. So let's go to CD my local folder. Have a look. Okay, we've got Peru in there. Okay, while we're there, let's create our new folder. Okay, I'll make it france.txt. Okay. Okay, so we've got 3 files there now. So I want to copy France into the bucket. So a bit more space there. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go to gsutil, which is the command used by Google Cloud to speak to the buckets. We're going to call it France. Okay, we're going to do my test bucket. Okay, so that's the full command. So let's see if that goes through. Access denied. Let's just have a look where the problem is. Okay, let's just have a look. So just a small change. You have to make sure that, so remember this is the service account we're using, and now we've got owner and storage object admin. So they're the 2 permissions which we've got bound to the service account. So what we need to do now, so what I did, I just changed it here earlier to put storage admin, and you can run the editor and you can have those 2 permissions there. Okay, and we can see that there. So I just made the amendment there. So now we've got the 2 accounts showing in IAM for that particular service account. So if we go back into the VM, you can see that is the same service account which we were looking at, 734. 734. Okay, so let's go into it, back into SSH. Okay, so we're back into our VM now. It's just got a few pages open there. Let's have a look at this one. So let's have a look in there. Okay, I should have a folder in here, France. That's the one I created earlier. So I'm going to copy that over into the bucket. GCT, GCUT, CPR, France. Test bucket 24. And there you are. It's gone over to our folder. So now we know it's in the bucket. So we could possibly have a look in this way as well from the VM point of view. So let's do that. So my test bucket, and we can do, yep. Let's have a look. And there you are. We've got France TXT there. And if we have a look into the bucket itself, here we are in the bucket. There's the 2 previous ones showing before. There is a refresh button here, so we can refresh it just like that. And then we've got France here now. So it's all on the bucket and it can be accessible over the internet if you need to. So there you are. That's how to use buckets in a VM. There is a little bit of a fiddling around to do when you want to copy the bucket, the file into the bucket. So that can be problematic, but all you need to do is make note of the service account you're being used and run. You can either use the storage admin based on that, or you can use the editor. And then that will be enough for you to have permission from the VN to access the bucket. I hope that helps. Please hit the like button if you like that, and subscribe for more videos with GCP. Thank you.